All right, welcome everyone. I'll be your host of Room 101 today. My name's Chandler Otterbein, and with that being said, I'd like to kick off our first session, AI and Decentralized Recovery with Leemon Baird, founder of Hedera.
Thank you. Can you hear me? You can hear me. Okay, good. Well, welcome everyone. Come on in and have a seat. I am very happy to see all of you today. I hope you're going to enjoy this conference. I appreciate you being here for your first talk here. I appreciate that. So, I'm going to talk about safety nets. We have safety nets all through our life. We need them for AI. We need them for blockchain. We need them for Web 3. We even need them for Web 2. Let's talk today about this, because this is what we need as a planet to protect us. This is kind of critical. So that's what I'm talking about today. It's not just blockchain. It's broader than that. Decentralized recovery. How can we recover things so we don't lose everything easily? The future has enormous promise. AI, I'm very excited about. Blockchain, I'm excited about other things too. Robots and energy and lots of things. I keep releasing videos on these other things I'm excited about. But anytime there's promise, there is a threat. Come on in. Feel free to come in. Not a problem. I am happy to see all of you here. Okay. All right. Oh, now they're closing the doors. They should probably leave the doors open. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe closed is good. It's quieter. But then, yeah, maybe open's good too, because it'll encourage people to come in. I don't know. I want people to feel welcome to come in anytime. And if you have to leave, go ahead. Someone apologized and said, I really need to go see the other one. Do you mind if I come in and out? Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind. So we have an exciting future ahead. There is great promise from AI and blockchain and all these other technologies coming along. I really think that we're going through the equivalent of the Industrial Revolution, except in much shorter period of time, which gives great benefits, but also great pain. There is huge, enormous dangers throughout all of this as well. And so what we need to do is work to end up in a utopia, not a dystopia. That's our goal. So we have great promise, but there's also dangers. Users need a safety net. This is a new world to people. People are not used to navigating the waters of this new world. In our normal everyday life, if you see a video, you believe it. It was a video. Someone had a camera there. I must believe it. Photographs even, I believe, even though Photoshop's been out forever. But if I see a photograph, I'm going to believe it. It would take a lot of work to Photoshop that. If it's on a blockchain, I have all my assets there. I can store millions of dollars on the blockchain. And you know, my hard drive on my laptop has all of the keys that I need. And if I lose them, I lose everything. We have a lot of safety nets in the real world that are not going to carry over now to this new world. I should say the old world. It's not carrying over to this new world. We have this problem of AI and blockchain and other technologies creating a new world that we're not prepared for, and we don't have the safety nets, we don't have the habits of doing things for safety, and we can be fooled, we can lose things, we can have things stolen from us. There are lots of ways that we can have problems. Good, I'm glad we left the door open, even though it is noisy. Maybe in 5 minutes I'll ask to close it. So, there are dangers of AI and of Web 3. Dangers of losing things, of stealing things, of just accidentally losing things. Dangers in AI of believing things you shouldn't believe. We are entering a world with all these dangers. How do we mitigate these? Let's start with the intersection of AI and DLT. Blockchains and AI. What is the intersection of them? And there's several intersections of them. One of them is the trust. One thing people have proposed is watermarking. Hey, we'll just make AIs always put into their image or into their text something that lets you know that it came from them. Okay, that's not going to work. If the average user is supposed to check the watermark, they have to have a program to check the watermark, and then you can build a watermark removing program that uses that program to know when it succeeds, and it can just keep working until it succeeds. Worst case, you can even have your own AI that takes a picture and then says, make a new picture that looks like that one. Every pixel's different. Watermarking is not the way we're going to do it. We're not going to be able to look at something and know it came from AI. Today, I think maybe I can tell when ChatGPT created something. I know I can tell if I get to talk to it, but they're going to get better. That's going to become even more hard. So I think in the long term, we're going to have real difficulty with just trying to watermark and recognize things. We're going to have actual authentication. Somebody has to sign it. Somebody is going to have to digitally sign pictures and text, and you're just going to have to know that it comes from a trustworthy source. Oh, but how do you know that the signature is valid? Well, they have a key. Well, how do they protect their private key? If you steal that, somebody could forge things. Your AI could forge things in the name of this person. And also, how do I know that public key is someone I trust? Well, I need to have a whole identity system. And identity, how do we do that? Do we let one person control your identity? No, we're getting back to blockchain again. Blockchain needs to be able to give you self-sovereign identity, where you control your own identity, and then you can sign your pictures and text to prove that it came from you and not from an AI. And then the decentralized aspect allows you to be anonymous, even if you want. Or, for trustworthiness, you can be pseudonymous, or you can be open, any of those. So we need blockchain to help with the AI, the identity part of this. We also have people like Equity Lab is building on Hedera to have the provenance of an AI. Suppose your company wants to buy an AI model. A model is a neural network with the weights in it. Where did those weights come from? How was that model trained? How did that little model of a brain learn what it learned? Well, I want to know what data it trained on. If you're worried about bias in AI, which is a big concern right now, then you need to know what training data was used for it. So you need the provenance of it. And people are using blockchain all over the place. We have lots of people building on Hedera to do provenance of various things, to make sure that your organic food really is organic, to make sure that your cocoa beans didn't come from slave labor, or your minerals, or your diamonds, to make sure you understand where things came from. Even COVID vaccines, they go from fridge to fridge and they have to be kept cold. In England, the health people digitally record in the refrigerator, there's a thermometer that then talks to Hedera and records where it went at each point and whether it was cold all the way along the way, so that you can track the provenance of something. We need that for AI. We need that for the data that trains the models. And so that's something we need as a safety net. Then we have to do the harder part, which is training people to actually care where things came from. We've got to get the public to require it be reliable before they believe it. I mean, that's the real problem. The human is always the hardest problem to solve. But that's something we need to work on. And you still have the problem, even if I know it's fake. If I see a video, it's burned into my brain. I subconsciously believe it. Okay, maybe you filter and only see the videos that come from reliable sources. We need to work with people to fix that. But there is a part of blockchain yes. Wow, did I go do that? Must have permissioning. Hedera has multiple projects for permissioning, yes. And what if you lose your keys? So the problem here is, what if you lose all of your keys for the identity, for the signing of your pictures, for the things on the blockchain? Oh, by the way, we also have to worry about copyright on the data used for training AI. And blockchain can be used for the provenance of the data for that purpose, and then do the micropayments to the people that gave you the data. So maybe you would pay royalties to the people that gave the data for the AI when you use the AI. And those could be very tiny fraction of a cent, which really means you need a blockchain like Hedera, where it's cheap to send someone a fraction of a cent. Some blockchains that wouldn't work well. But for Hedera, you could send it very cheaply. So these are all things you need. The problem, though, is the safety net. Today, when we have centralized valuable things, so this is existing world things. You have money in your bank account. You have stock shares. You have your passport. You have the key to your house, or the key to your car, or the key to your safe, or the combination to your safe. These are all things of value you have today, and there is always a safety net. People are used to there being a safety net. If you lose your password to your bank, yes, you will be able to get your money someday. You go to the bank and convince them, or at worst case, you go to a court and convince them. You will always be able to recover. If you lose the keys to your car, you can have a locksmith come. If you lose the keys to your house, worst case, you put a brick through the window. You can always recover your assets. This is not true in the world that we're heading to. I have received emails from people saying, oh, I lost my key and my 24-word mnemonic. Could you generate a new one for me? Guess what my answer is? No, the whole point of a blockchain, of a DLT, is I can't do that. I cannot steal your money, which means I can't help you get your money. This is a problem. The problem is, why would they even send such an email? Because every part of our life right now gives us this safety net. We are conditioned to believe there is a safety net everywhere we go. We don't even think about it. It's just subconscious. I know if I can't get into something I own, I can eventually get it back, unless someone steals it. But as long as they didn't steal it, I know I can get it back. And I know how to protect people from stealing it. I kind of understand the threats. This is not true in this new world. We now have things like cryptocurrency. I was telling you, someone wants me to send them, help them recover their cryptocurrency. No, I have no power to do that. And other things, you can tokenize physical assets. You can have metaverse assets. People are spending millions of dollars for land in metaverses, in virtual reality. Digital ID credentials become critical to everything. We're going to decentralized ID. This is ID that will let you keep your privacy and prove to someone. You could prove to them that you're over 21 without telling them your age. You could prove to them that you have a good credit rating without showing them your name. All of these things. But they come down to having some cryptographic keys that you have to protect, or cryptographic secrets you have to protect. And if you can't do that, you lose your identity. And then maybe you try to create a new one and then go back and somehow get everything that you did under your old identity. Very hard. And then, of course, there are passwords and passkeys. I hate passwords, but we live in a world of passwords. We need to move to passkeys. But in both cases, there's something you have to keep. I have to remember my secret password, or I have to use a passkey on my phone, and my phone remembers that secret. Great. What if I lose my phone? That's a real problem. And things, and even more things, like your voting power in a DAO, in a decentralized autonomous organization. How do you do that? Even that is something of value that comes down ultimately to keys or secrets or passwords, something you have that the bad guys don't know. That's the only way in this new online world that we're going to, the Web3 world, that you're going to protect real assets is by having some secrets that the bad guys don't know. And there's no way to recover them right now in most of these situations. And you hear stories of someone has their life savings or millions of dollars on a hard drive that got sent to the dump, and they're pawing through a dump trying to find their hard drive. Or someone is gone and their descendants or their heirs can't get any of their assets because they memorized something and who knows what it was. Or you have hardware devices and you forget your PIN. 10 tries and then you lose your life savings. Okay. So we've got to create a safety net. We have to create a safety net for secrets. This is true of blockchain and the Web3 world. It is true of AI and all these places where AI intersects with blockchain, where you have to do identity with that. And it's going to be true of basically everything going forward in the future. It's even true of the Web 2 stuff, the stuff we're used to, passwords for websites. You really don't want attackers to get those. And if people reuse passwords, it's even worse. Attackers will get your password if you reuse it, guaranteed. So what can we do? Well, we have to have a solution, but the solution has to be convenient. If it isn't easy, and by easy I mean mostly invisible and automatic, and you don't even see it, people won't use it. It has got to be easy. It has got to be convenient. It has got to be invisible if possible. And we don't want to have an intermediary. Of course, I can protect all my assets in the universe by giving them all to you, and you'll take care of them for me, right? I can trust you. Okay. Do you see any problems with that? No. I won't give it to you. I'll give it to someone I really trust, like FTX. I'll give it to them. Okay, you know you can trust him. He has a good haircut. You know you can trust him. So this is a problem with intermediaries. Right now, I do trust my bank. I have to. There's a lot of entities I have to trust, but I would prefer to not have to trust any individual. People in our community blockchain world say trustless, which is a silly thing. You have to trust something. But the question is, do you trust one person, or do you trust a bunch of people to be mostly okay? That's the difference. You have to trust something, but do I have to trust a single individual, or am I trusting a group of individuals to be mostly okay? That's the difference. So we need a safety net. But I'd like to get away from the intermediary. So how do we do this safety net? Well, of course, we can do custody. And it's the least bad option right now for many things. Use custody. Fine. Maybe it's better than holding it yourself. But of course, the custodian has the ability to steal it or to be hacked, and the hacker can steal it. And you still could lose everything if it's all in one custody. And then there's always the question, could somebody spoof and pretend to be me to the custodian? And you could say, oh, I'll fix that. We'll just have a password. Okay, now we're back to our original problem. So we need to do something better. And if you're in a custody service right now, if you're a custodial service right now, I think you can become part of the solution of decentralized recovery. So I just said custody is bad. What I meant is a single person doing custody is bad, but the people that are currently single people doing custody can expand and become part of decentralized recovery. Another thing is you can do social recovery with account abstraction. I'm not going to go deep into this. Account abstraction is a really powerful thing with lots of good features. But for account recovery, it really isn't ideal. What you really want is for no one to know that you have people that are helpers that can help recover your stuff. If you know that I have helpers and you know who they are, you can attack them. And even if you don't know who they are, if you know I have 5 helpers, you can try to track down who my helpers are and find my 5 best friends, or monitor my traffic until you've identified 5 of my helpers. And then you know you have all of them. Or maybe you only need 3 out of the 5 to recover, so you only need to find 3 of them. So you don't want people to know that you're doing this kind of decentralized recovery. You don't want them to know how many people are doing it for you. You don't want them to know who those people are. You really want to do something outside of a blockchain. And this stuff with social recovery and account abstraction usually refers to something on a blockchain. You don't want to do that. You want to do something entirely separate, entirely user to user, more decentralized. Also, you're not keeping track here that your helpers are still helping. They might have failed, they might have disappeared. And you can't automatically remove those that have gone offline. You can't automatically do lots of things. Oh, and it's only for accounts. It's not even for arbitrary secrets and arbitrary information. So here's what we need. We need decentralized recovery. So to have decentralized recovery, we want to take our secret and split it among multiple helpers. Each of them gets a piece of the secret, and they can't tell anything at all from that piece. This is Shamir secret sharing. It's been around for 1 million years. Everybody knows about this. And you cannot learn anything from one piece. You have to reach the threshold. So maybe you say, I have 10 helpers, and 5 of them is my threshold. So you'd have, any 4 of them could get together and learn absolutely nothing. They cannot tell anything, even with infinitely powerful computers and quantum computers, and wouldn't help them. You would need 5 of them to get together to recover. So you set a threshold, and you can set this to any threshold you want. But you could say, if I have 10 helpers, maybe I make half of them be the threshold. You want privacy, hiding the number of helpers and who the helpers are to protect them from being attacked. You want automatic, invisible daily checks with helpers. This has stars around it and is in boldface. If you're going to build a decentralized recovery system, this is the number one thing you need. The number one thing you need is that if I have some friends and family being my helpers and it's on their phones and it's on my phone, every day, invisibly, automatically, no one even has to think about it, my phone asks their phone, do you still have that share I gave you? Could you cryptographically prove to me that you still have that share? Is your phone down right now? Have you lost your phone? Are you still alive? Can you still talk to me? Have you been corrupted? You know, have cosmic rays corrupted one of the bits, flipped one of the bits in the share that I gave you? And so just every day, my phone asks your phone, hey, prove to me that you still have that stuff I gave you. And you send me back a hash that, I send you a nonce, you send me back a hash of it with a nonce. There's a way that we can make it where you can prove to me that you still have the share that I gave you. You've got to have that. If you don't, I guarantee you, eventually one of your friends is going to get a new phone and lose the secret that you had, and they'll forget that they were even holding something for you. And then another friend is going to do that, and then another friend is going to do that. And by the time you finally need to recover, it is too late. You have lost out. So you have got to have automatic daily checks. And maybe it isn't your friends and family. Maybe it's a company that's doing this as a server, has a server that does this. Then every day you need to ping the server. However you're doing this, you need to be able to automatically check, and it has to be invisible. And then, if they're not active, it tries again. And if they're not active for a while, it tells you, hey, your helper seems to be offline. You need to go talk to them. And if I'm a typical user and I ignore the warning message, then it needs to remove them. And now instead of having 10 helpers, I have only 9 helpers. And I give each of them a 1/9 share instead of a 1/10 share. And I say, please erase your 1/10 share. Here's a 1/9 share for you. And then when I add new helpers, it needs to automatically go back to the old ones and give them new shares. And when I change my secret, maybe my secret is a list of passwords. Maybe it's a password manager. If I change one of the passwords on that list of passwords, it needs to go out and send a new share to all my helpers. All this has to be invisible and automatic. Okay, and we can go to a phase 2, where we even do decentralized custody. I'm not going to talk more about that today, but this is where I'm giving my helpers not just a Shamir share, I'm giving them a cryptographic share of a key that can be used for signing transactions. And I don't even keep my secret. I give my secret to my helpers, I erase it myself, and now of my 10 helpers, any 5 can help recover it. What we do is I send them a transaction, say to move a huge amount of cryptocurrency from cold storage to warm storage, and I have the 5 of them cooperate to sign it where no one ever learns the key. Multi-party computation. So that'll be a second thing we do. That'll be a second phase, which is even more powerful. Even you don't have the key. But for now, let's assume that you have all your secrets, and this is just your backup. And I think anytime any program has secrets, if it's a game and you have secrets to get into the game, passwords to get into the game, everything needs to be stored and protected this way against loss.
How do the helpers identify you if you don't have the key? How do they authenticate?
Excellent question. This is all about authentication. So if it's friends and family, I come in, I talk to you in person, and our phones link in person using a mechanism that's hard for a man-in-the-middle attack. And so you have to authenticate who I am. If it is a bank or a credit union, we have banks and credit unions now that are involved in this, then I authenticate with you strongly the way I already have to, and maybe even stronger than that. And we agree on how strongly I want you to authenticate me. So you know who I am. Then, a year from now, I lose my phone, and I come back to you, and I thought it can authenticate with you again. You have to tell the program, okay, I'm authenticating with this person, and the Leemon who's here today is the Leemon I saw a year ago. And that is your responsibility. And so you want to find friends and family who know you, or you want to find companies that will do strong authentication. And when you do it, you can even have an agreement with them that says things like, hey, when I come in and try to authenticate with you, go ahead and do it, but wait 1 week before you give me anything. If I'm trying to recover, wait 1 week, and during that week, call me and email me and text me and use every mechanism you can to contact me to let me know that someone's trying to recover in my name. So all of these things we can do. Yes?
So you're talking about removing attack vectors.
Yes.
Calls, emails, contacts, texts, social media, whatever it is.
Yes.
Why not just obfuscate that and use zero knowledge?
So zero knowledge proofs usually are zero knowledge that I'm proving to you that I know some secret. Right. The whole question is, what if I lose my secret? That's the whole question.
But if you're socializing like Arjun has for years, socializing that capacity, why not just use zero knowledge in a state channel where you're doing that on a repeated basis, so you don't have to go through that process of having leaked it?
So the whole point here is, what if I lose every secret that I know? How do I recover? So I can't do a zero knowledge proof that proves that I have the secret because I no longer have the secret. That's the problem. I can do a zero knowledge proof that my fingerprint looks like this, but the problem is every restaurant I've ever gone to, I've given them my fingerprint. I can do a zero knowledge proof that my eye looks like this, my iris looks like this, but anyone across the street can take a picture of it. There's real problems with trying to do remote zero knowledge proof if I don't have a secret. So I think the entire Web3 security system is going to rely on zero knowledge proofs and passkeys and decentralized identity that's self-sovereign. The entire world has to be built on that foundation. But that foundation needs a recovery system. And that's what we're talking about. How do we get back to secrets?
Just curiosity on the decentralized. Let's say you have 5 family members who have connected together to say who you are. If your crypto has gone from 100 million to 10 billion, there's an incentive for them to forget who you are. And they could say they are the ones. So how would you go against that in the sense that you then do become a target?
Okay, so you're a target, they're a target. You need to find organizations and people that you trust, and then you don't have to trust any one of them, but you have to trust that a majority of them will be honest. This is inherent in just sort of the laws of the universe. That's the problem. But I would rather have to trust that a group of highly trusted people will mostly be okay and only have a few bad apples, rather than trust a single person, or trust myself to never lose my phone. These are the things that we have.
They don't know each other. They don't know who they are.
And they don't know who each other are. You're right. And that's important. It makes it much harder for them to attack and get together to collude against me. That makes it much harder. And maybe I use some friends and family, and then I also use this lawyer that no one knows about. And I also use this bank that they don't know that I have. Okay, this is the way you go. And so then, if I lose everything, I said I don't have to remember anything. I have to remember who some of my helpers are. I don't have to remember who all of them are, but I have to remember who half of them are. Although, of course, you could have an agreement. Please contact me once a year and remind me that you're my helper. You could even have that in your agreement with them. The DREC organization that we've created, the DREC Alliance, may actually be may curate legal contracts that you could use with the person who's your helper. And it could say something like, just in case I forget that you're my helper, please remind me once a year that you're my helper. Lots of options. So the way it works, I've already said, you have your helpers. If you lose your phone, they can help you get it back. Each helper gets a fraction. You can add and subtract a new helper. When you do, everybody else gets a new share automatically. It's invisible. To the user, all you ever have to do is go get a helper. and pair with them once, and then from then on, you just don't remember anything. Yes?
About succession planning, like you mentioned.
Yes.
High level, right? Like
Yes.
family members, wills, things like that.
Succession planning is critical. We have got to start doing this. Even for Web 2, people don't do proper succession planning. For Web 3, it becomes really critical because not even a court can get your money. And so you have to have a will that says, here are, now there you might actually say, here are my helpers. Or you can add one more layer of protection. Here's the name of my lawyer. He knows who my helpers are, and he has it written down where his staff can get it. Okay, that's maybe a layer of protection. Or you just say, in your will, here's who my helpers are, but keep this will locked up until the need arises. So this is important. Succession planning is incredibly important. And we are not, as a society, I don't think, dealing right now well with this. We need to get on board with this.
Will it become a single point of failure?
It becomes a single point of failure. Yes, this is a real problem. Yeah. So you do the daily verification, you can recover your lost secrets, and then someday we can do decentralized custody also. And you can offer helper as a service. I'm already talking to banks and credit unions that absolutely want to make money on offering this as a service. Actually, they probably won't charge for it. They'll just use this as a competitive advantage. Hey, have a checking account at my bank because I'll give you decentralized recovery. I'll even try to make it even more invisible for you. And I will help 2 other banks become helpers. So you'll have 3 helpers off the bat without even thinking about it. And then you can push a button on your phone and add more friends and family and remove those 3 if you want. But by default, you at least get 3 helpers. That makes it even more invisible, even more automatic. This is what we need to do. This is critical. So, the world will move to decentralized custody. I have no doubt about that because it's just too painful not to. The real danger is that we end up moving to 10 incompatible standards. And so I have a password manager on my phone, and you have a game on your phone, and you have a wallet for a crypto system on your phone, and we can't become each other's helpers and each other's sharers. That's the danger. We've got to have a single protocol. Like the web. What would it be if we had different versions of how to go to a web, and Safari can only go to Safari websites, and Chrome can only go to Chrome websites? Which sometimes is the case. But that shouldn't be the case. We need to be compatible. And so this is why we have done this. We have created the DREC Alliance, a nonprofit 501(c)(3) organization, and we have lots of people joining us. Basically, everyone I talk to wants to join. And so we have protocols, and we're building open source libraries to make this easy to implement. It's all about protocols and open source libraries. And they do these things to add a helper and do these other things, recover the lost secrets, all the standard protocols. They're all simple. They all use very old, well-understood cryptography. They're all using very straightforward methods. And the idea of these libraries is that anybody that writes software that has secrets, a game, a wallet, a password manager, you add this library, you add a few lines of code, and now you are a DREC server as well, or a DREC helper and sharer as well. If you go to drekalliance.org, you can see the resources, you can see the GitHub repo, you can get into it, you can join the alliance if you want to. We encourage that. We have people that have joined it now from the Hedera ecosystem and Ripple and Algorand and Casper and banks and credit unions and wallet manufacturers. These are cryptographic wallets, blockchain wallets, Hedera wallets, that kind of thing. But we're also talking to people who are doing identity wallets. We're talking to them as well. Everyone we talk to desperately wants to do this, and so everybody is joining this. If you want to join, please do. You can also just use the code without joining. You can also contribute to the code base without joining. And if you contribute enough, you can become a maintainer, and you can actually merge in PRs and help control it. But if you join, then you actually get to vote for who's in charge as well. This is entirely decentralized, and I would just encourage you to get involved. If you have more questions and would like to know more about it, we're going to be in room 108. It is misleadingly labeled with a sign as the speaker's room, but that's a lie. Please go to room 108, and we can continue with questions if you have any questions. And you can see all the stuff that we have, including videos that demonstrate this. Thank you.
Thank you, Leemon. Room 108, 15-minute Q&A session to follow.